Read all the stories about BYU sports no one else has heard. Go to KSLSports.com for exclusive columns by BYU insider Mitch Harper. That's KSLSports.com.
That's right. If you don't know who Mitch Harper is, you better figure it out. Better ask somebody. He's the guy wearing the new era headgear around the office with the Big 12 logo on it.
With my Venmo Big 12 card.
Did you end up getting it?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Venmo is going hard at everybody. They're all, hey, man, you want one of those Big 12 Venmo cards?
I've got one.
At the Big 12 Media Days, I was like, who's going to fall for that? Mitch is like, look, he has his application. He's running with it in hand.
I fall for that stuff. I am consumer. Like, I will fall for that every time.
I love it. I might have to do the same thing so that we can show up at stuff wearing the same headgear. And, I mean, we look like officials from the Big 12. Because you know how they're wearing those big old...
nice.
They're wearing those big old...
ref caps
are
nice.
Man, they're huge. I'm like, could you make that logo a little bigger around here? It's like those old FUBU hats that just like the logo wrapped all the way around the hat.
Get a 05 jersey, FUBU.
Get a bright green hat. I bet your Marcus considered it.
Oh, I'm already thinking of it. The 1-2, get a 12 in that FUBU font jersey.
But like the silk number inlay. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I worked at a sporting goods store in high school. Like in that late 90s era when everyone's all, you got that in hot orange? You have some of that lime green? I would love to get me some of that. Nike and all those apparel companies were like, what are we going to do? We're like, I don't know. We better start turning out pink and bright green and bright orange. Otherwise, we're going to go out of business. Oh, my goodness. All right. Our segment 2 of the day today on First and 12. Mitch Harper, by the way, Alex Kirry. We're here with you every Tuesday evening on First and 12. Gustavo's our producer, and he hits the buttons phenomenally. He keeps us on time, so we love it. Let's talk all things that we took away from this week. Mitch, I was looking at the polls, and 5 teams in the Big 12. In the coaches poll, 4 with, I think Utah just on the outside. I don't remember the exact number, but I wondered because I thought, okay, this is probably how it's going to shake out. I didn't think BYU, with the way that they beat Colorado, were going to move up a lot. They didn't. They went up 2 slots. Texas Tech was not playing, so they're not going to move a ton. And there wasn't a lot of movement in front of them, albeit there was, but it was way far ahead of them. And then you're going to get teams that will jump them to go into that spot. And so the Big 12 has 4 members in the AP poll, 5 members in the coaches poll, but nobody anywhere near top 4. Is that a slight or a disrespect, or is it just like everybody's still trying to figure out who the Big 12 is? They're certainly quick to put even ACC teams way far up in those rankings, and everybody else seems to be fighting at the top, but no Big 12 teams are getting anywhere near it right now.
It's a huge slight. You look at the AP top 25, and Texas Tech's at 11, and to your point, they were on a bye, but they had a huge win on the road at Utah, and they can't sniff the top 10, and then who soars by them? Alabama, who's got 1 loss, and then Florida State gets faded. And I know that's the ACC, but Florida State has a tough road loss. They fade all the way down to 18, and they beat the top 10 team in Bama. Again, the pollsters, they almost want to justify their perception of the brands of these teams. They can't wrap their mind around the idea that Texas Tech might be one of the top 5 teams in the country. They just can't wrap their mind around it, so they always cap them at 11. It feels like there's this unspoken cap suddenly on Big 12 teams where you can't get higher than 11, and that's what's challenging about this league right now, whereas these other conferences like the SEC, they get the benefit of quality losses, and then when they go win a game on the road, as Alabama did, they soar up the rankings, and whereas the Big 12, they get a lot of teams from 19 to 25. You mentioned the coaches poll, the last 3 spots, BYU at 23, Arizona State at 24, Utah at 25. It just feels like they can't make a huge leap into the polls. And again, these polls don't factor into the playoff committee's formulas and how they put it together, but you can't tell me it doesn't influence the polls a little bit and that committee a little bit. And that's what's frustrating about this, because I do think the Big 12, even though I think our heads are always spinning a little bit with how herky-jerky this league can be, but we are getting some consistency from Arizona State, from Texas Tech, from Iowa State, that we feel like these 3 teams are really good and they should be ranked higher than they are.
It's really hard, too, because these schedules are going to get even worse. I say worse because you already saw it this week. TCU falls to Arizona State. We are going to see this kind of week in and week out, I fear. And that's not good going forward for the Big 12, because if you want to get into the top 4, you obviously can only have one or 0 losses going forward. Like if you're a 2-loss Big 12 team, where are you typically? You're in that 11, 12, 13, 14 kind of number. Or what was BYU at the end of last year? 13, 14, 15, whatever it was. And that's the cap we're going to put on you. You mentioned that, and it was like, it makes a little bit of sense. But here's the deal. When you have 5 teams or 4 teams who are 7-2 in conference play, and they're all that Spider-Man meme pointing at each other like, no, you be the better team in the conference. It's not good. It's not good because eating your own makes it to where everybody else just goes, oh, perfect, we have this excuse. Now we don't have to put the Big 12 anywhere because you're going to start seeing some more of these games. Houston is obviously going to lose some conference games. I don't know what it's going to look like for BYU when they start losing conference games, when that's going to end up being. But that stretch now in the middle of their season, by the way, I don't know how, but at the beginning of the year, they had the quote-unquote easiest schedule of anybody in the Big 12. Now what are you thinking about it? No, absolutely not. When you go Arizona, Utah, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and TCU all in those 5 games in a row, if you escape that 3-2, you're going to be lucky. But you know what that's going to get you? Another 2 losses in league play, and no one will talk about you because the best you're able to do is you're going to be able to be doing is by the end of the year is maybe that 15, 16 spot in the AP poll. So it doesn't help that you don't have a dominant team right now in this conference. But I agree. I always wonder, so what's the reality here? When are they going to start giving Texas Tech what the reality is?
I think they do. Texas Tech's the dominant team. You look at Ole Miss, who soared up to number 4 in the poll this week in the AP Top 25. The teams they've beat: Georgia State, at Kentucky, Arkansas, who just fired their head coach, Tulane, that's a solid win, and then LSU, good win, but LSU can't score at all. Even Brian Kelly's been questioned a ton about that, and he can't handle those criticisms of the offense, and they instantly soar up to number 4. I mean, is that a resume that says 4th best team in the country? What has Ole Miss done in the last 60 years that says their brand is, you can justify that? But for some reason, Texas Tech's brand, even though they haven't done anything in the last 80 years, and I get that, but this year, Texas Tech's legit, and
let me ask you this.
That's what's frustrating about it. They got a good road win, too.
If USC would have beaten Illinois this weekend, where would they be in the poll? They would have jumped Iowa State. Guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been maybe maybe butted up against TCU. And the reality is it's a pretty middling Big 12 team, or Big 10 team right now. There are a lot of Big 10 teams you're looking at. I think you're going to get solid losses across the board over the next few weeks from some of these teams in the Big 10. Things aren't just evening out in the Big 12. It's happening at every conference. Like when your Mississippi States are starting to hang with everybody, and they were 0-8 in conference play last year, they're going to be there. You're seeing the fruits of transfer portal, just like guys who show up and they can make a team better instantly. And that's good for college football. And ultimately, I think will even some things out. And when they say, hey, we're going to start making sure that those quality losses, wink, wink, are not going to be dinged as much, we'll see. I mean, you're right. Alabama wins at Georgia, but you're winning at Georgia.
And that's what's frustrating, too, is the Mississippi State loss for Arizona State is starting to look what would be maybe a quality loss. Mississippi State's inching closer to the poll. But when ASU lost it in the moment, pollsters said, fade Arizona State. No, Arizona State should have stayed in the rankings after that loss, just like Florida State, just like many teams who take a loss. But because the pollsters branded Mississippi State as the cellar dweller of the SEC before the season, that caused Arizona State to get faded, and everyone said, ASU's a fluke. No, it was just a last-second play, and that's where, again, we got to see these polls wait until Week 7 or Week 8. That's, I think, kind of the sweet spot because we're still learning a lot about these teams. I feel like you don't truly get a sense until about Week 6 or 7 until that point, and that's where we start to really learn because I think what we're seeing in college football more than ever before, what you maybe learned the previous week doesn't necessarily carry over into the following matchup. You could see some wild outcomes. 1 week Indiana's going off for a 60-piece, and then they roll into Iowa, tough opponent, tough venue, I get that, and they could barely score. That's just kind of, they played the Iowa game that they typically do. So it's hard to predict anything in college football these days, and for people to just suddenly now put these rankings every single week, I just think it does a disservice to the sport because there's a lot of good teams in college football right now, but because they don't have the brands, they can't climb as fast as some others.
And a lot of people will get at me and they'll go, hey, look, the college football playoff rankings, they're the only ones that matter, and that comes out November 4th, Tuesday, November 4th. Circle your calendar.
They get influence, though, man.
It's not just influence. Like, honestly, you've got to put your elbows out right now if you want to be these teams. It's not just influence. It's almost like a copy paste, right? I mean, like let's be honest. The same attitudes that are in that room in Grapevine, Texas are the same attitudes that are there in the AP poll across the country. So let's take another break. We'll come back. We've got our signature sound round-off. You're going to be able to hear from coaches and across the conference, winners and losers. I'm not calling them losers, but some of them lost, some of them won. We'll get right to it here. 1st and 12 right here on KSL News Radio.